And welcome to the next edition of How to Thread Your Baby Lock Triumph Serger. Okay, so we're going to get started. And once again, we are going off of the quick reference threading guide that comes with your serger. And we are doing this one right here, the 3-thread overlock narrow stitch. Okay, I have my thread already up here. The blue is the lower looper, the yellow is the upper looper, and the green is the needle thread. How we have this set up, let's open our doors. We have the O2 needle inserted. We have the subsidiary looper disengaged, which means it's laying over here on the right side of this upper looper bar. We have this in the up position. This actually controls whether the upper looper mechanism is down or up. We need it up. We're going to use it. We are also going to make sure that our stitch selector is on the letter B as in Bravo. And we have this lever. If you have this lever, it's in the overlock position. If you have the wave stitch, there'll be a lever here to switch from overlock to wave. But if you have a serger that does not have the wave stitch, this lever would not even be there. Okay. Also, we have our knife cover on. And we have our stitch width set to 3.0 right here. We have our cutting blade engaged. And we have our stitch length set to 2, okay? So I'm going to get a piece of demo fabric. Now, first we have to thread the machine, okay? Presser foot is in the up position, and we're going to turn our threading lever down. We're going to engage our air threading tubes, lever down the threading. I'm going to slowly rotate the hand wheel towards me until I hear it click right there. And what that did, it engaged the air threading tubes, is what that does. And next we are going to thread the lower looper with the blue thread. Now I'm using the same color thread that is in the threading guide to make it easier. It's a great way to know exactly where that thread is going on your finished seam, in case you want to change it out with some decorative thread, so forth and so on. Let's give a little more thread. There we go. There is that lower looper thread right there. See how easy that is to thread with that air threader? Gotta love it. And I'm just going to move it to the back of the machine. Right back there. Next we'll do the upper looper, which is yellow. And in the real world, you might, if you're using this stitch to do a decorative hem, you might want to put in some metallic or some heavier thread, or just thread that matches the fabric itself if you don't want it to show up. Okay, so yellow upper looper. And you'll see at the end of this presentation why it's really cool to use when you're just playing with the settings, is to use the actual colors of thread that are in that quick threading guide. And then this one will go right here. This is our O2 needle. This is turned to overlock on this Triumph serger. It also does chain and cover. This lever here will actually turn it to overlock so I can air thread that needle. I've turned it to overlock. Now I'm going to press my air tubes down. And what's so great about that is this will actually thread the needle for me. Okay. Then you always want to trim this thread when you're using the needle air threader, just so that the thread is level with the bed of the machine. That sets it to really an optimal length for easy threading. Press the button that says push to thread needles right here. Push it, the motor will come on. And all I did was hold the tail end of the thread right up to the eye of the needle, and it pulled it right through. Easy peasy. It does not get any easier than this to thread a serger. Okay, everything's all threaded. So now we can turn our threading lever back up to serging, close our doors, and we're ready to go. I also have my machine speed, motor speed, turned all the way to the left at its slowest position. I just find when you're experimenting, you really don't need to run this at a high speed. And I'm just going to sew. I folded my test fabric in half. I use 6.5 inch squares of flannel fabric for testing. And we're just going to give it a go and see what this looks like. So on this stitch, the lower looper thread will stay on the underside, the upper looper will be on top, and then that needle thread will be on both the top and the bottom. Just chain off, bring it around with the blade, cut your thread. It's the easiest way to do it. Now, here is the top. Here is what was the top right here. And you can see that thread. That's at a 2. And then you can also just barely see the green needle thread right over here on the left edge of this fabric. When we turn it over and look at the underside of it, let me cut this thread tail off. Make it nice and neat and tidy. Let's turn it over. And this is the underside right here. You can see there's the yellow thread, and that green shows up a little bit better right there. This is a wonderful way to finish the edge of fabric for a hem, for a decorative effect. You could also turn this thread, the stitch length down to a 1. We're going to do that. Right there. Turn the stitch length to 1, and we're going to do it again and see what difference that makes and how it looks. And what this will do, it'll create more of a satin stitch, like on your sewing machine. Honestly, if I was going to use this for a decorative effect, I would set it to 1. I was just setting the settings as it showed in our quick reference threading guide. There we go. Now let's look at the top of it. So here is our upper looper. Yellow is the upper. This little line of green, that's our needle thread. The underside is blue. So check that out. Let's see how it makes a beautiful satin type of stitch. So this was set, the only thing I changed to get it to do this is I moved the stitch length to 1 from the number 2. This is our first one. There you can get a much better view as to what the differences look like. So stitch length 2, stitch length 1. This is the upper looper, lower looper, or the bottom side, stitch length 1, stitch length 2. Let's get that up there. Very pretty. So I'm sure you could think of a lot of different ways to use this in your sewing. Thank you so much for watching, and I will have another video out to you very shortly. This is part of my serger threading series. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day. Bye now.